Ladies and gentlemen,
boys and girls,
children of all ages,
welcome.
I realize I'm clapping out of sync and I look like I don't know what I'm doing. Welcome to the Bob Doyle Show, ladies and gentlemen.
And you are?
I'm Bob Doyle.
And I'm Tracey Sandler.
And the stream is blinking again.
No! Okay, so quick test. I'm going to do a watch party. It didn't even pop up yet.
It seems to be okay.
Okay.
It seems to be okay. All right, we let the theme go so that we can let the singers get paid. So one moment.
Oh! It's working.
Okay. They're still singing. So we're just going to let them.
And worse.
We got a watch party going, but our stream is blinking.
Well,
I don't know.
It's not Tech Tuesday. There's not supposed to be tech issues today.
No, that's right. There shouldn't be tech issues any day of the week.
Except we are coming on Mercury retrograde. So.
Yeah, Mercury. Why don't you go retrograde somewhere else? You wreak havoc all the time. What did
like 2 or 3 times a year? What is up with that?
Seriously, what did we ever do to you, Mercury? That you have to retrograde all of our crap? We're just trying to do our shows. We're just trying to have our equipment, our cell phones, and our
communicate with the ones we love. What is up with
what
that?
about love, Mercury?
Right?
Did you ever think about love, even for just one moment?
Goodness gracious.
All right, let's see who's in the room.
Oh,
we've got. I can't
morning,
read that.
Amy.
Does that say Shannon?
Yes.
All right. So, yay, ladies and gentlemen, we have a show, we have an audience, and we have hosts. I think we have all the elements we need. Although, wait a minute, there is one more thing that we need, and that is a guest, which we will be bringing on shortly. But I just want to make sure I had all my little ducks in a row. So I've got my ducks in a row.
Well, this is not just a guest.
No.
This is one of my most favorite people on the entire planet.
And for all the reasons you're going to find
Yes.
out. And in fact, ladies and gentlemen, if you are a fan of this one, and if you wish to yourself every time we do the show, I wish he would just stop talking and let her get in a word in edgewise. Well, this is your lucky day.
This is going to be fun.
Oh, wait a minute. You're right, Amy. You have pointed out the obvious.
What about,
where's the bell?
Behind your actual...
Oh. We have to first.
Ta-da!
We're ringing the bell for coffee, ladies and gentlemen.
Our
and
PA is off
appears.
for the day.
Our PA is off for her career, apparently. She hasn't darkened our doorstep since we invented her just now.
Very
Okay,
nice. Very nice.
So, all right, enough of this
enough
nonsense.
of nonsense.
You can
No,
get
we do that all day
every
long.
day of the
Yeah,
week.
right, exactly. Now,
Well, that's all the time we have for the show.
Oh, Bob, sit down.
We are going to introduce you. Now, it's really no surprise the name because it's in, first of all, she's been sharing this for days. Number 2, it's in the description of the videos. It's not like, who could it be? Who could it possibly be? I don't know how to read the English language, although that could be the case. So let me just tell you.
Because you could be on the other side of the planet and English is your second language.
It could be. Ladies and gentlemen, and we'll have our guest, I hope that she is standing by, face in camera, ready to be introduced. I take great honor and pleasure in introducing you to our guest today. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Debra Poneman.
Okay, Debra, so for the world, this woman, I am eternally grateful to her. You do not understand. I would not be doing what I'm doing.
Sitting with me.
Living where I'm living.
With me.
Dating who I'm dating.
With me.
Anything. My whole life, this woman has been the catalyst to everything that I am right now. I mean, seriously, she's.
And in our first conversation together, I heard Debra's name many times. Now, of course, I have known of Debra for as long as I've been in this industry because I've been working with people like Marcy Shimoff and others that Debra has mentored and, behind the scenes. And so while you may have heard of a lot of these people that she's worked with, maybe you haven't met Debra yet. It took me this long to actually have for us to connect. even though we are, like a half a degree separated for our entire career, or my entire career.
Yes.
So anyway,
So in
it's
case you
great to
don't
have
know,
you.
she's a #1 best-selling author. She's a mentor to the mentors, like he was saying. So Marcy Shimoff, Janet Atwood, Marianne Williamson, Deepak Chopra. Good God, the list is countless. And I get to, me.
Yeah.
So Debra, thank you and welcome.
Okay, so first of all, that introduction that you guys have at the beginning with the people dancing and the people clapping and the music in my life, I have been doing interviews for, this part of my story. I became a teacher of transcendental meditation in the early 70s, and I was on radio and TV all over the joint. And so I have been being interviewed for almost 50 years. I've never seen a cooler introduction.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
That's all him.
That's, the Bob Doyle Show. Now you can make it a regular part of your viewing day.
Monday through
I'm
Friday.
telling you, and you two together, I've also seen Tracey through some different relationships.
Hell in a handbasket.
Yes, and just the harmony between you two and the flow between you two. And then anyway, I was laughing so hard during the introduction that you were ruining my makeup. And then Tracey starts talking about me, and then I start crying more. So if I look like a mess already, and we're only like 2 minutes in the interview, oh well.
That's
You
awesome.
could never look like a mess. I
That's
promise.
awesome. People are saying nice to meet you, Deborah.
Oh,
We have a
yay.
very nice, responsive community. You can see them talking in the background sometimes, but when we're talking to you, you won't see them. I just want you to know that they're there.
And
you
I
support
just
them.
want to ask, is Amy your sister, Amy?
Yes!
Ah!
My mom usually watches, and Jason, Amy's husband, like it's a family affair. It's pretty awesome, especially because you're on. They're going to tune in because everybody loves you.
And I just want to say I'm sorry that I am so much taller than Tracey. I
I'm
feel like I
sick.
should go like this, or maybe I'll just go back like this, so that you are the.
You look like a talking head.
That's right. I just sit there and smile while you guys have your conversation, because really they have a very interesting history, and I'd like to.
Oh my
And Deborah's
gosh.
got a lot of stuff coming up this week that we want you to know about. So we want you to stick around for all
Yes.
that, so you can find out
All
how
the
to get
exciting
involved
things
with all
she's up
that.
to.
But find out why first you want to get involved with Deborah by listening to them. So you go ahead and take it, Tracey, and I'll just try to not look too awkward.
Oh, you're so adorable. You can never look awkward.
Oh yes,
Anyway,
I can.
Well, okay. Maybe. So no, like I said, I met Deborah, what was it, like 14 years ago, I think. And at the time, I had a completely different life. Literally, I was in hospitality. I had a catering and special events company in Evanston, Illinois, which is where Dad lived at the time. Or again now, right?
Yep, back in
Crazy.
Evanston.
Oh my gosh, I miss Evanston so much. Anyway,
Evan, this is you so much.
oh my gosh, I
And
know.
your
I'm
catering.
Oh my gosh. Well, that was just it. So we had opened a corner store. It was called the Corner Chef, and it was a retail food store with ready-made meals to go. But we were in this is probably 2006, right? And so when we opened, Deb lived a block and a half away, right? And it was organic. We were ahead of the curve on healthy food, different options, gluten-free and all those kinds of things, which, Deborah is extremely food conscious, and she's just conscious in general, right? And so, this was totally in alignment with who and how she is. And I hadn't actually met her. Fred, her husband, used to come into the store and buy food. And then, this is right about the time of The Secret.
The what?
The Secret.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't cook. So Deborah doesn't cook. So she was very happy to have the corner. Yeah. Provide her good organic meals.
So she
Back to The Secret.
right, exactly. She was eating my food before we even met. So The Secret comes out, and the woman that I had running the store, we were all in the conversation, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you have to meet my mentor. She's in Melaleuca, right?" And I said, "Okay, great. What is all of this, right?" And I didn't know that Fred was your husband. So, like all the dots just kind of pulled together, and I was like, "Okay, so I'm part of the Rotary Club of Evanston, which my friends, my loves, I miss them too so much. And you came to speak. And I sat there in the audience, and I have an energetic ability, and she's glowing like an angel, legit. I mean, like, she had a light around her, and I sat there in absolute awe, going, "Oh my God, this woman is just an angel." And always I write about that because she's been an angel in my life ever since. And I sat there and I thought, oh my God, I want to do what she's doing. Like, I could just feel her energy so much and was so called. I thought, you know what, whatever it is that she's got going on, I love this woman. And then come to find out, I've been hearing about her for months, right? And I knew her husband. It was just how so first. And then so we became fast friends, and she put me on to the passion test with Janet Atwood, and then just it's been history ever since. She's literally like helped me, in so many ways become more aware and conscious and connected. And yeah.
Oh, Trace.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking about those parties you invited me to, like the Oscar. Remember that fabulous Oscar party? And we got our picture taken on the red carpet. It was really the who's who in Chicago. It was really, you put on, you're talking about this little corner catering thing you did. Tracey was like the it caterer in Chicago for all of the who's who. So it wasn't just like, oh, she had a little corner store where she sold organic meals. I mean, Tracey was a mover and shaker in Chicago in the, in so many events that you put on. I met so many people through you because you were very, very connected. And one of the things I loved about Tracey is that you had so many ideas. It was like I met you, and within 5 minutes, you're telling me like 20 ways that I could make my company more successful.
Oh my God. That has not changed.
Right? Exactly. It's like, whoa. And I'm thinking, who is she? Because she is, and the ideas were brilliant. And then, Trace, you forgot the part about how you started working for me.
Well,
I was about to ask.
I was just going to say I didn't. So, fast forward like 6 years or something. Yeah, another 6 years. And my world falls apart. We decide that, we're done with hospitality. And I'm trying to rediscover, what do I want to do with my life? What are my passions, right? I'd taken the passion test a couple times, and I'm going through all the process. And you invite me to a Shri Shri event. And right, I mean, it was like this special moment, and I'm, crying on your shoulder because I'm so lost with my life. And you're literally, like, this woman literally was jumping up and down going, oh my gosh, yay, now you can do what you're meant to do. And I sit there and I'm like, great, what the fudge is that? Like, I have no idea. She's like, come to work with me. And I said, okay. so Deb and I started working together, and then months later, you and Marcy decided to create your Year of Miracles, which has been a lifetime of miracles for me, and oh my gosh, yeah. So tell us a little bit about like all of your journey, right? So how did you get to be where we were and all of that?
Okay, so let me just wipe my nose and my eyes because you have me, laughing and crying and recalling all of those amazing days. And it was so funny. You keep saying my husband, who's now my former husband.
Oh yeah, well, mine too.
I still talk to him every day. It's just that it's just a marriage part of our friendship was over, but we're still like total friends. And he lives in Las Vegas.
Which is why I live in Las Vegas.
And that's why when I came there, I visited you and we went and got pizza, but it was gluten-free.
Of course. Again, things have not changed.
Of course. Okay, so I'll tell you a real Cliff's Notes version of how I got to the point where I met Tracey. So, as I mentioned, I started teaching transcendental meditation in the 70s, and I was a full-time teacher. I taught pretty much probably over 1,000 people because it was during the big wave where TM was really, really big. I mean, it still is, but not like it was in the 70s. And then by the end of the decade of the 70s, I realized that woman does not live by mantra alone, and I needed to make some money. And I thought, okay, and I was living in a meditation community at the time in Fairfield, Iowa. And I thought, okay, I can't make money here. So where do people make money? They make money in Los Angeles. So I moved to Los Angeles. Really, that was intelligent. Where do people make? I saw rich people on the TV
Of
in Los
course.
Angeles. Actually, I didn't watch TV, but I heard about it.
Right.
Anyway,
Amen.
and if all else failed, I could probably become a movie star. So I moved to LA and I started selling investments. And I was a dismal failure, but you know the expression, we make plans and God laughs. Well, God had a big laugh over me thinking I was going to make money selling investments. But one night, a friend of mine invited me to the Learning Annex for a money seminar. I thought it was going to be like on stocks and bonds to help me be better at selling investments. And I walk in 1980. The guy was talking about the law of attraction. And this is what, 20 years before The Secret.
Yeah.
And he's talking about how we are like tuning forks. And if we're always talking about how poor we are, then we are going to draw into ourselves only more poorness. And, you know, and he said, no matter what your financial situation is, if you talk about the glorious times that are to come and the beautiful house you're going to have and put up a picture of a Mercedes, then that's what you're going to vibrate as, and that's what you're going to draw into your life. Bottom line is, I was so blown away just by this concept. I also went and got a picture of a Mercedes. I was driving a beat up Chevy Bel Air. I was so blown away by the concepts that I started studying the great masters like Napoleon Hill and Wallace Wattles and Emmett Fox and Florence Scovel Shinn. And I decided that I was going to put together a seminar and I was going to teach how to be successful. And it took me about 6 months. And I used all the principles that I was learning while I was studying all these great masters to create my seminar and use them to make it successful. Like, for example, I'll just give you one. What is sacred should be kept secret. One of the concepts is when you have an idea, don't go around telling everybody what you're going to do. Because what happens is, number one, you use up the energy in the telling. People say, oh, that's a great idea. Then you never do it because you already got the accolades. And and it kind of takes the steam out of the kettle, right?
That is.
And another
Hold on, wait.
right?
I have to highlight that. Everybody
it's
at
one of
home.
my favorite stories of yours.
Highlight. All right, you can continue.
Yeah, and you know what? And the other thing is you bump up against the discouragement committee.
Correct.
You tell people what you're going to
Yep.
do, and they say, "Well, that'll never work."
Right.
Or why you can't write a book on leadership? There are 100 books on leadership,
Yep.
which is so not true because there are people who incarnated to hear the message of leadership from you, and they're waiting for you because you bring a different flavor, you bring a different energy. There could be 1,000 people writing on success, but people are waiting to hear it from me. I'm their teacher. So if you have an idea that is burning in your heart, don't wait until you think you're ready. People say, oh, I'm going to wait till the kids are in school or the kids out of school or the divorce goes through or the inheritance comes in or I get my degree. No.
Yeah.
When you have an idea, it's because the Creator wants you to manifest it. I believe that the Creator, and that's the God of your understanding, needs things done on the planet. So that Creator whispers those little ideas into the ears of people who the Creator thinks is going to manifest it for him or her, right? I mean, the Creator can't come down and open up a gluten-free bakery and start kneading the dough and putting up the signage. So he whispers into somebody's ear, start a gluten-free bakery. But guess what? If you don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. That's the Creator needs it right then. And how many people listening have had a great idea? They
And
never did
somebody
anything
else
about
did
it.
it.
And a few years later, I was going to do that.
Yes.
Write that book,
Oh.
invent that thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
All the
many
time.
Somebody else did
So
it.
many.
Somebody else did it. So because the Creator, even though I was not even barely 30 years old, I was poorer than poor. I was driving a beat up old Chevy Bel Air. My only degree was from Maharishi International University. And from the outward appearance, there was nothing successful about me. And I was going to start a seminar on how to be successful because that's what the Creator told me to do. So I took a step from which there was no turning back because that's what I had to do and that's what I recommend people do. Even though I had all the reasons why I wasn't going to be successful, I went out, rented a room at the Santa Monica Public Library, and I put up posters because that's how we advertised back then. And as soon as I put up the posters, I had to tell people what I was doing. The discouragement committee showed up and said, nobody's going to come to a lecture on your mind creates your reality. But the posters were already up. I couldn't turn back. And when I walked into the room, there was standing room only. And in
Wow.
the next few years, my seminars are being taught all over the world.
Standing
Oh,
room only events must be nice.
Standing room only. Yeah.
yes.
And
These days, it's just such a different deal to
Well, right now
fill a,
especially.
well, yes, now is
Now
it's
it's
really difficult.
it's completely different, but it's
But that's great. So that there is a great teaching point in there. I mean, many
Yeah.
teaching points in there about taking action when you're inspired to do so, and you
Yeah.
cannot predict what all the no one's going to show up, and it just shows how thirsty people were even back then for some kind of an answer.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. And I love the
Right. And
sacred
by
in
the
holding
way,
it.
I ended up driving a Mercedes. I swear to you, I had no money. 10-year-old Chevy Bel Air, all dented up. But one of the other practices that I absolutely adhere to is I am always grateful for what I have. If you want more, don't curse what you have. I would get in that Chevy Bel Air. She even had her name. Her name was Shirley. Good morning, Shirley. Where are we going to go today? And I always had gratitude in my heart, but I also visualized myself driving a Mercedes. And within a few short years, and this is an amazing story, the power of manifestation. Two things I tell people about visualization. Don't just visualize, I will be in a Mercedes, I will be in a Mercedes. You can visualize yourself driving it, but what is the good that you're going to do with that Mercedes? Who are you going to
Mm.
drive to the hospital in the middle of the night? What team are you going to take to the game on the other side of the state or in a different state? What is all the ways that you are going to give back by getting that beautiful Mercedes? And then visualize yourself everything that you
Mm.
want. Visualize the good that you're going to do with it. The creator likes that. But the crazy thing is, I had up that picture of the Mercedes, and after I learned the law of manifestation, I manifest. I was in a not good marriage, which ended. Still one of my dearest friends. I manifested a much better relationship. I manifested perfect health. And as I was married to this new gentleman, one day he calls me. At that time, I think I was driving, I think it was called a Rabbit, a Volkswagen Rabbit. And he calls me from work. He says, sweetheart, do you by any chance want a Mercedes?
By any chance?
True
Just,
story. And I said, well, what anybody would say, I said, well, what color is it? Because I wanted navy blue, because that was what the picture was that I had when I learned about manifestation. And he said, let me find out. He calls me back. He says, it's navy blue. I said, okay, I'll
Oh,
take it. It turned out somebody was doing a drive-away car, something across the country, and they stopped in Fairfield, Iowa, where I was then living, and then the owners wanted to sell it. It was all so complex how that blue Mercedes came into my life, but it was the one that I had the picture up of 3 years before.
That's interesting
oh,
that I didn't. We have that in common. The
that's a
whole Mercedes thing at the beginning, and it was just arbitrary for me. It was like I was just learning, just like you, just learning this manifestation stuff. And I, at that time, my vision board was my computer desktop, and I had this black Mercedes that I really couldn't care about cars. It just wasn't my thing, but it was just a thing to go for, right? And I went and test drove one, and the same thing with my Saturn. I used to visualize the having the Mercedes emblem up on the roof because I literally went shopping online to see if I could get a Mercedes emblem to cram in my hood so that I could see it and feel it. But it was the same. It's a very similar story.
oh my gosh. Well, and
It
so I'd never even heard of a vision board until Deborah. Like all of these concepts, were just so new to me at that point, and I was so like blown away. And then you came back with your seminar again.
Yes, I rebirthed Yes to Success because my seminar became so popular. It was being taught in 7 countries on 4 continents, like decades before the internet. And as Bob knows, he's in Trace, you mentioned it, some of today's most renowned transformational leaders were my students back in the 80s. Not
Yeah.
only Janet Atwood, who was my secretary, and Marcy Shimoff, who was my personal assistant, but even Deepak Chopra took my seminar numerous times. Phil Town,
Oh,
author of World Number
Phil.
One. Jeffrey Smith, the number one expert on GMOs in the world. took Yes to Success in the 80s, but should we tell them why they've never heard of me, even though they've heard of all my students?
Yes, exactly. Which is it's a
And
beautiful part of your story.
And the reason why you have not heard of me is because one of the things I teach is that if you want to be truly successful, you need to follow the impulses of your heart. The mind, the rational thinking mind, because it's really thinking based on all of the false information that you've been getting your whole life based on other people's opinions and your distorted memories of childhood. You make your decisions with your mind and then you wonder why they don't turn out. But if you make your decisions from your heart, just move your attention down into your heart. And I always tell people to follow their hearts, even if it seems like it's taking you in the wrong direction. Well, in 1988, when I was about to have my own daytime TV talk show, by the way, you guys should have a TV talk show. You are so good.
We're working on it.
We're working on it.
Well, this, I really, I am so sure it's going to happen. And so what happened was that I was about to have my own daytime TV talk show. My book was in the hands of a New York publisher, and my baby was born. And I took one look at her, and I thought, I don't want to go on a book tour. I don't want to do a TV show. I don't want to leave her to go to the bathroom, let alone leave her. Really? I did not want to leave her for a second.
I know.
And I was supposed to go on a tour of Southeast Asia, so I called up the guy who was putting together my tour because he had called me. He said, I heard you had the baby. Let's get the tour on the books. And I said, Chiang, we did have phones that look like this. Chiang, you're going to have to call me back in 18 years.
Oh my
And
God.
I became a full-time mom at home. And then I added on 3 more years when my son was born because I had to follow my heart. And we're all born with the Dharma. We were all put on earth for a reason. And the reason is not going to go away if you follow your heart. If you take a year off to be with your grandma while she's making her transition. If you, that means from life to death. If you want to take off 2 years to go hold AIDS babies in Uganda, if you want to take months off to work on a political campaign, what you were put on earth to do will only get stronger. And the truth is, I took 21 years off. And when I came back, I had built up a lot of what I call relationship capital because people remembered all I had done for them back when I was not at Chuck E. Cheese with my kids. And they were just ready to, they practically fought over who got to work with me because my students ended up becoming, not only New York Times bestselling authors and millionaires and billionaires and stars of The Secret, but household names. And
on
they were
Oprah.
there on Oprah. And well, we know that story.
I know that story.
We'll have to have a sequel conversation for that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Oh my gosh.
It's actually not that, it doesn't take that long. It was just that I was home with the 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, and my 2-year-old was still in diapers, and here I am like knee deep in dirty diapers. And I turned on Oprah one day, and one of my students was on Oprah, and this particular student was showing Oprah this exercise to show the power of the mind that I had actually cognized in meditation. It was one of my signature exercises, and he was showing it to Oprah, and Oprah was flipping out like, oh my God, this is the most profound thing I'd ever seen, and it really shows the power of the mind. And I'm standing there with 2 whiny kids on the couch going, we all are popsicles. My daughter couldn't say her R. Where was my popsicle? Where was my popsicle? And I'm looking at my student on Oprah. I'm like, okay, I ruined my life. Life ruined.
but you know better, which is what's so fantastic, because it's like, like you just said, what you're meant to do, you're here to do that, right? And for whatever timeline, we always want things to happen when we want them to happen. But that's not how it happens, right? As long as we trust and have faith and are true to our heart, what we're meant to do, it'll come about, right? I always say it's all divine. Whether we think it's good or bad, we put a judgment to it. We look at the timeline of everything and we get frustrated. But in truth of it, it's all happening beautifully and perfectly in harmony with everything else. I mean, we had met because of your Year of Miracles, as Bob was an affiliate. In 2014, we found an email exchange, and we ironically
Met is wildly
well, okay,
overstating.
we never we talked on the phone.
Yeah. Which oddly enough was interesting because it was about a link,
An
right?
Infusionsoft link that
Infusionsoft is this
broke.
background thing for sending email.
Right. And today,
We had a conversation about an Infusionsoft link with you. So it's been 100% full circle, right? That was our
That
conversation.
is
yes,
crazy.
right? But talk about divine timing. In 2014, I was living in Chicago. I was married to somebody else, and I mean,
Yes, you were.
yes, I was, and it's all divine, right? I mean, it just is.
But and that's it. And you know what? Could I tell them about my near-death experience? It's only like a 5 minute, not even story, because it
Yeah,
talks about divine timing.
yeah,
Because I love what you're saying that we want to, push the timeline ahead, but there are actually two stories. I'm going to tell about my near death, but I want to tell a story from Kabbalah, which is one of my favorite stories. It's a Jewish mystical text, and it's about a man who says to God, he says, God, all I want to do is serve you. Just tell me. I just want to be of service to mankind. Tell me what I need to do. And God says, go out and push a rock. And the man said, anything. If you want me to push a rock, I will push a rock. And being an A-type personality, he found the biggest rock that he could possibly find. We can't relate. And it was like a boulder, right? And he's pushing it, but it won't move. But he already promised God, and he already committed to this particular rock. So he keeps pushing it, and he keeps pushing it, and pushing it, and it will not budge. And the day goes on, and then the weeks go on, and months go on. And this man is still out pushing the rock because that's what he told God that he would do. And he gave up. And God comes down and says, why did you give up? And the man said, well, nothing happened. And God said, what do you mean nothing happened? Look at you. You are not the same person you were when you started pushing that rock. You are stronger. You have learned perseverance. You have become a legend in the area about the man who won't give up because he promised God he would push a rock. Physically, you're stronger. Mentally, you're stronger. How could you say nothing happened? And the man said, the rock didn't move. And God said, I didn't tell you to move the rock. I said to push it. I'll move it when I'm ready.
Oh, I just got chills. I love that.
Here.
And we just have to keep, Yay. So we got to just get, and we get frustrated. This
Yeah.
isn't happening. I'm not getting the publisher. I'm not getting the speaking gigs. The lease fell through. A dear mutual friend of ours, I don't know if you remember Terry Crawley, she told me that one of her mentors said to her, it was a 90-year-old black man said that when you ask God for something, you will only get one of three answers. Yes, not yet, or I love you too much to give you that thing. Something better is on its way. So what we have to do is we just keep pushing, and if it's not working, we have to know when to let go and create that space for the something better that's on its way. And that's why when I teach people to set goals, and Tracey, you know this, I always say, this is what I want. I want this. I want this. I want this kind of job. I want this kind of man. I want this kind, or something better.
Yeah.
Always leave that space on top of your goal list, on top of your wish list, on top of whatever kind of list that you write. You always write at the top, this or something better. Because in your limited consciousness, you don't know what's the best thing for you, but there is a cosmic intelligence that does know. This or something better. I want this, but if you have something better, I'll take it.
Oh my gosh. I'm so taking that excerpt and putting it in our hashtag 300 wish list group, which we actually are going live at 11 o'clock today about. So that is absolutely perfect. And this is why she's my mentor, folks.
And one more thing, I got to tell the quick
Yes, because I'm
story
glad
about when
she's
I
still
almost
here. So
died.
keep telling. Yes, yeah, we're glad
Yes,
that yes, this
right.
was near death,
And
and yeah,
remember, and we were, you
we
knew
were.
when
I
that
know.
was
I live.
happening.
Yes.
Okay, so what happened was, I think it was it, were you, I think you were already working
Yeah.
for me when it
Mm-hmm.
happened.
Yep.
I remember, this is so funny because here we are in this beautiful video with the beautiful set and the beautiful background. Remember when we made the videos in my living
Oh
room in
my
front of the
God.
fireplace?
I do. Oh my gosh.
We were just me and Tracy trying to make videos, and
We
it
have
was
so
like the
many
one
fun
meeting the
stories.
we have so many like that. So anyway, back in that same apartment, okay, I just
Yeah.
separated from my husband and I moved out of the, as they say, I moved out of the big house and I was living in a little apartment. And one day I got sick, and usually I don't get sick. You know, I might get a little scratchy throat, but I take golden seal echinacea. You know, I get myself hydrated with a lot of electrolytes. So really, it never takes hold. But this time was different. I started feeling ill on Monday. I thought I'd be fine on Tuesday, but Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I got sicker and sicker and sicker, and there was nothing I could do about it. Saturday morning, I was lying in bed and I thought, I could die here and nobody would know. So I did what any intelligent person would do. I called my favorite healer and I said, you've got to do something. Actually, I could hardly even talk. I said, I think I'm dying. He said, okay, I will help you, but you have to promise that you do exactly what I tell you to do. And I said, anything. He said, call 911 immediately. Well, I couldn't even call 911 because I couldn't even dial the phone at that time or press the buttons. I couldn't even open my eyes. So he called 911. The paramedics arrived, had to break down my door. They asked me what hospital I wanted to go to. Of course, I said Evanston. They felt like they didn't have the 11 minutes to get me to Evanston Hospital, so they had to take me to St. Francis, you know, around the
Yep.
corner.
Yep.
And while I'm in the emergency room, I started to die. They had me hooked up. My blood pressure, by the way, was 52 over 28, something like that. And I had an acute sepsis. 50% of the people who have sepsis don't make it. But I had not only waited too long, but I had two deadly bacteria in my blood. I had just come back from a developing country. I wasn't that careful when I was there, and it didn't look good. So here's the point that I want to share with your listeners, your beautiful, wonderful listeners. I started going to the other side, and I noticed that when my eyes were open, I could see everybody rushing around trying to save my life. But when my eyes were closed, I could also see everybody rushing around, but I could also see that everything was guided by a divine light. And every movement of the nurse's hands, every movement of what the doctor was doing, even when one of the nurses fumbled an IV bag and dropped it on the gurney that I was lying on, and everybody shot her these glances like, you clumsy. But her head, when her head went down, I could see it moved her head away from a monitor when she went to pick up the IV bag, and somebody else saw an adjustment they had to make on the monitor to save my life.
Mm.
So I saw this thing that we say that there are no mistakes in the universe. I saw that there were no mistakes in the universe, that everything fits together like the cogs on a fine tuned watch. And as I'm lying there, I said to God, oh my goodness, I have to live. I have to tell people that it really is true, that everything is in perfect timing, everything is orchestrated by a divine light. And then an even more powerful thing happened. My healer had called Fred, we weren't living together because we were separated, but again, we were still so close. And by the way, this was almost exactly 6 years to the date because it was June 8th, 2014.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
so he called Fred, and Fred came to the hospital, and he sat down in the room, and it didn't look like I was going to live. It looked really, really bad, and little tears were streaming down his face. And the nurse saw this, and she went over to him, and she put her hand on his shoulder, and she said, for no reason, she said, don't worry, she's going to be fine. And I saw in that place between life and death, when she said the words, she's going to be fine, I saw this light come out of her mouth accompanying the words. It was almost like a rainbow. It was kind of pinky, and it was like a My Little Pony, like, did it? You know, that My Little Pony rainbow, did it? Did
Yes.
Nice
it?
visual.
And it
Yes.
like went out of the nurse's mouth and into my body when she said she's going to be fine. And it gave me all of my strength back. I'm like, oh my goodness, I felt it. Her words strengthening me. I thought, your words do create your reality. And then a minute later, the doctor came in, looked at the monitor, and in a very harsh voice went, get that blood pressure up or we are going to lose her. And out of his mouth with the words, we're going to lose her, was this brown, gray, gunky energy. It was even accompanied by a smell. It smelled like a swamp, because on that level of creation where I was between life and death, I could see these things. And that gunky energy, we're going to lose her, went into my body and took the energy away from me. And I remember lying there and saying, okay, God, all of these years, I'd already been teaching these principles for how many years? Over 20 years, over 30 years at the time. And I said, now I know that what I've been teaching, that your words do create your reality. I know that it's true. So you have to let me live so I could tell people this story and they know the power of their words. And the good news is, as Tracey pointed out,
you're still here.
I live.
More applause.
Oh my gosh, sweetheart. Yes. Yeah, I did live through that with you.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, that was a really scary, but you came out of it with that story, and it's just, totally brought you into exactly, where you are now. I mean, this is, you're doing what you're meant to be doing. So what are you doing? You share some.
Yeah, what's up with
I know,
Deborah
I'm
these
so
days?
excited.
All right, so you got the part of the story that I started Yes to Success in the
Yes.
80s, and the who's who in the world of transformation were my students back then. I mean, I could name drop a few more. Steve Farber from Extreme Leadership.
Right.
I mean, blah, 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 blah. They were all my students back in the 80s. I stopped because I followed my heart. The reason why most people haven't heard of me is because I spent 21 years at Chuck E. Cheese. Well, I wasn't there the whole time.
Boy, that's a lot of
That's a
pizza
lot of
and
mouse.
the tokens. Oh my
That's a
God.
lot of tickets.
Yes, yes.
I taught I taught my kids, share your tickets.
Yes.
Anyway, and also remember where you put your shoes before you go into the ball pit. Anyway, I actually do a whole talk on how I learned the secrets of life at Chuck E. Cheese. The other is when you get stuck in those tubes, that the kids
Yes.
crawl through. Don't just sit there and cry. Ask for help and accept help when it comes. Anyway, so where was I? Oh, what am I doing now? So after my kids grew up, and actually that story, when my kids were 18 and 21, Janet Atwood, bless her heart, Bob, you know her well. Janet Atwood, as only Janet Atwood would do, came to me and looked me in the eye one day and said, Debbie, when are you going to stop pretending your kids still need you and get back on the speaking circuit?
And thank God she did. I'm so grateful to her for that. Because then you came
Right?
back, and what was it? Was it 2011 that you brought Yes to Success back? Because
Yes,
I
so
was there.
Of course you were there.
It was-
You did a testimonial for me. Hi, I'm Tracey Samuel.
Okay,
Chris
so-
on the river.
her seminar, Yes to Success, literally, aside from Debra being Debra and changing my life with everything that we've just talked about and more, her program, I'd never been to anything like it in my entire life. And, and the principles and everything that she's talking about, I just was like light bulb, aha, 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 the whole, and it was a weekend workshop, right? And so we went through like just everything that you can think about, like what the things that we talk about, right? How to create your life by design, like be very intentional and open and come from your heart, and all of these beautiful concepts that really are life changing. Seriously. And yeah.
And what was so interesting is that I'd been gone for 21 years, and I thought, well, I don't really have a community anymore, but I'll just send out some kind of email to my old community or try to find them. And about 100 people, remember, showed up at the
It was
seminar.
packed. It was packed.
It was packed.
Yes.
Standing
yes.
room only.
Yes,
No,
exactly.
we had seats for everybody. And it was at that hotel in Skokie on the corner right across from Old Orchard. And what happened is that I taught the same seminar that I had abandoned 21 years before. And the magic was that people had the same kind of miracles in their
Yes.
lives. I was just talking to somebody, Hal Price, who was in corporate
Oh,
America at the
yes.
time, and he came to that seminar and he realized that in his heart, all he wanted to do was write children's books. And he's now an international best-selling author. He goes around the country
I
telling
love
stories
Hal.
about Eli Bear, right?
Yes.
And so many people from just that one, just those 100 people, I can't tell you how many success stories I have. I could just sit here and tell them all day. But what happened was shortly thereafter, Marcy Shimoff, also a friend of Bob's and Tracy's, that's when she had the idea for your Year of Miracles. And she just scooped me up and said, I don't know anybody who has a more miraculous life than you. I want you to teach people with me how to create their own miraculous life. So I switched gears and I joined Marcy, and we taught your Year of Miracles together for 5 years. And then I had another one of those moments, another where I had to follow my heart, because I woke up one morning, I realized I love this course. I love Marcy more than life itself. And it's time for me to move on and start teaching Yes to Success again,
Yeah.
because that's my signature program, and that's what God downloaded. I downloaded from God. And I always say, people say, oh, Neil Donald Walsh got messages from God. Guys, you get messages from God every minute of every day. The difference
Yeah.
between you and Neil Donald Walsh is he went to the typewriter and wrote it down, and you could too. And my message was get back to teaching Yes to Success. So I taught it online for the first time. It was 2018. And again, the response was crazy. I got hundreds of people. And again, people's lives completely transformed,
Mm-hmm.
completely changed. I was just looking at some testimonials that I got from some people. One woman had a huge multi-million dollar business, gave it up because all she wanted to do was have a speakers bureau for transformational speakers, but she didn't have the courage until she took Yes to Success. And so many, I could go on and on. But what's happening right now is that when I saw how the world was changing, and I saw that we needed a new paradigm of success, because guys, yes, you can take Yes to Success. I will teach you how to get the Mercedes and the perfect relationship and the like these two lovebirds and the perfect career. But I will also teach you how to do those things that make your heart sing, like contribute to justice on the planet, contribute to being a force for good and for change. It's always been in Yes to Success. And that was why I decided I was going to do a big relaunch, so that people know that it's the whole deal, that Yes to Success will teach you how to get the Mercedes, but will also give you the courage to live your truth, show you how to align with that truth, and give you everything you need, including a community to
Mm-hmm.
support you, to catapult you into the life on every level that you are supposed to live, so that you can be, it's not so much about having your name in lights, but it's about being a light. And Yes to Success will teach you how to be that light for your family, for your friends, for your community, and for the world. So I'm relaunching. And next week, it actually starts. It starts a week from tomorrow. It starts Thursday, June 25th. Online, 10 weeks. Everything Tracy got when she did it
A
in
while ago.
person, it's all in. Everything that Deepak got, it's all in. And Marcy got and Janet got, that led them to these monumental careers. It's all in there. And we're throwing around names of the
Right.
rich and famous. I just had a call from a woman. She said, I took your seminar years ago, and I just want you to know I had a multi-million dollar business and I sold it because I always wanted to be a grammar school teacher. And
Wow.
now
Oh,
that's what I'm doing.
Normally it is the other way around.
wow.
Exactly. Not Yes to Success. It's
Yeah.
getting people to, because you don't want to go to your deathbed and not having lived what you were put on earth to
No,
do.
no.
And those little kids who she's teaching were obviously waiting for her. So I'm teaching it again,
It's
starting
so great. Well, success isn't necessarily what, some people think about. It's money and the car and, the stuff or, being able to travel the world. Sometimes, it's how you define success, right? So success could be changing the lives of these beautiful children. Being the voice for, a cause. I mean, whatever it is, success is not defined by dollar signs. It's defined by your heart. And if you're true to that, that's what you're meant to be doing. That's what Yes to Success is all about. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And you have something
See,
really
now you see
amazing.
why I hired Tracey, because she explains it better than I do.
Yeah, she needs to be on a stage or two herself, I think.
Well, this is what I'm saying. She
That's for
said,
sure.
come do what you're meant to do. And I'm like, I don't know what that is, but okay. I just, I trust her emphatically. And I was like, I don't know, but I love you and I want to support you. And she's guided me so beautifully through just some of the most crazy ups and downs that any person could ever have in their life. And she's just my angel.
So
I'm
there's
so
two
grateful.
things.
So you have something fun this weekend. Okay, go.
Yeah, there's two things I want to make sure that people know. Like, obviously, now they want to know how they can get involved with Yes to Success.
Correct.
Now, I guess the best way that we talked about a little bit, is you've got an ebook that you're sharing right now, that you're giving away. Can we talk about that? Because if people go to this link, bobdoyleshow.com/yes to success, they can get this ebook. Talk a little bit about what that is, why you wrote that, and then, basically how they'll get further information on how to get involved with Yes to Success.
Perfect. Thank you for asking. And yes, the best entree is that link. And what we're going to do is we are going to send you an incredible ebook. Let me tell you about the ebook. Remember my story that my book was in the hands of a New York publisher, and then I gave it up to be home with my little girl, who now, by the way, is 31, about to turn 32, and is a successful chiropractor. And in Seattle, if you need a chiropractor in Seattle, she's the best. Deanna. We got it right. We got it.
Got to plug. Our babies,
Yes,
of course.
It's the quiet, actually. But so anyway, where was I? Oh, right. So my book was in the hands of the New York publisher, and it never got published because I switched gears and I became a mom at home. And but people keep asking me, when are you going to write a book? When are you going to write a book? When are you going to write a book? So I decided I'd write an ebook, and I would take the 5 most salient, most important, juiciest points about creating success and put it into this ebook that a person could read in 15 minutes. And it is a beautiful book, if I do say so myself. And I tell all kinds of stories. I tell a story about me and Marcy when we were driving around down the road over the Golden Gate Bridge. I tell a story about my son, about how I was not using my own principles after a certain election about almost 4 years ago. And he had to quote to me about my own principles and to see the silver lining. I tell great stories, but I also give, it's called the 5 Secrets to a Life of True Success. And I give my 5 best secrets. And even if you never take Yes to Success, implement these 5 secrets, and I promise you, your life will change. However, when you download that ebook, then you will hear about the course that I will be offering a week from Thursday, beginning a week from Thursday for 10 weeks. And you will also be invited to an event that is this Saturday. And it is a Yes-a-thon. It's called Yes-a-thon, a new paradigm of success in the world, because I am interviewing 8 world changers about what does success look like now. We're all pivoting. This is a new world. And what is success in 2020? And what can we do to be successful in 2020? And it's Marianne Williamson, and of course, Marcy and Janet and Catherine Woodward Thomas, you know, the author of Calling in the One and Conscious Uncoupling, and Sonia Riccati, the bounce back queen, and the star of Unsinkable, and you know that we all want to be unsinkable, and John Newton, who is an incredible, he doesn't like to be called the healer, but he's going to do a group clearing for everybody who is on the line. And oh my goodness, who am I forgetting? Marianne, Marcy, Janet, Catherine. Oh, Margaret Lynch.
Oh,
you know Margaret, the
Margaret.
I know Margaret.
Queen.
Yes.
Yes, she's going to be on there and she's going to help us tap our way to success, right? And this is tapping, guys. Okay, why is Deborah going like
EFT,
this?
EFT.
Most of my group will know what
EFT.
EFT is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm introducing somebody that most people don't know, a man named Jose Hernandez, who had a near-death experience. And when he went to the other side, well, he was dead for a minute and a half. And when he came back, he had never done any art in his life, but he had this ability to paint, but he paints what he saw on the other side. And the paintings are so extraordinary that when you look at them, you actually have a transformation in your brain waves, and it brings you to a different level of consciousness. And he's going to share about his near-death experience, and we'll share some of his art. So all day, it's 5 hours. I'm going to interview one person after the other all day on Saturday. And when you get the ebook, we'll send you information about that. Yes-a-thon.
I'm so excited.
So it's important to do this today.
Yes,
Basically,
most definitely.
Go get this, or because the thing is on Saturday.
Right, you want to be able to get in
next week. So
yes.
just go grab the ebook. Takes 15 minutes to read.
15, and she's a #1 best-selling author of a bunch of incredible books. So if you this is just a teaser into what this woman has out there for you.
Debra, thank you for sharing your time and your story with us. It was great to have this little reunion. I've been looking forward to it. And I knew it was going to be a freaking love fest.
It's because I love her so much.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, I am
so grateful.
I am eternally grateful that the circumstances brought her into this industry, which led her eventually to me. So
you guys are so cute together. And so
Oh,
great at what you do. I am so blown away. I feel like my little protege, and right, that she's always been gorgeous. She's always been articulate. She always has just taken to these principles like a fish to water and been able to translate them and teach them like I don't know anybody who is as good as her at taking knowledge and being able to translate. And you, from the time that you were in The Secret, it was like, Bob Doyle. Now I get to meet Bob Doyle.
Any minute, it'll just be 7 years or 14 years.
I'm telling you, and then you and Tracey together, a force to be reckoned with. It's just...
Well, you're the one that taught me the principles of how to, really tune into what you want and who you want to be and all of those things, and to put it out there, right? And so I asked for my perfect partner, and divine timing and just all divine. I got it.
Well, how about
Very.
So anyway, thanks, Debra.
Thanks, Debra.
You're welcome.
And so one of these days we'll actually meet in person, do something together.
We'll hug.
All of those things.
Well, I want to come to Chicago in August, although
yes.
So maybe we'll do something.
You can stay with me. Stay with me.
Okay.
There you go.
Yay.
See? This is how it works, ladies and gentlemen. Right here on the show. Again, ladies, thank you so much, Debra. Everybody, again, it is bobdoyleshow.com/yes-to-success.
Yes.
That will get you to the ebook, which you get today, so you'll find out about the thing on Saturday and how to get involved with Yes to Success. Ladies and gentlemen, Debra Poneman.
Love you, sweetheart. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mwah. Eternally grateful.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Did we, again, see, you thought, I wonder if he's going to disappoint today. Because yesterday, he tried 3 times and there was no show.
Well, that was Tech Tuesday.
I know. But, it's just... But no, today, I think it happened exactly as it should. We're all good. Anything else you want to say?
I'm just, I'm here because of Debra, and I highly recommend just go grab that free ebook, because those 5 points will be something that you're called to do. I promise.
I'd be sitting here by myself if it weren't for Debra.
Yes, it's true.
So.
Yes. And I'm so grateful. Anyway, we love you guys so much. Now, don't forget, #300wishlist, 11 a.m. Pacific time. So just a couple hours from now.
You have to go to the #300wishlist group in Facebook. Yeah. Watch the introduction video if you're new to this concept. Correct. It's a perfect thing to do after a call like this.
Absolutely.
So
and join us live on Zoom. We'll play, we'll write, we'll create your life that you dream of.
It'll all be explained to you, so just go.
It's fun.
Thanks again to Debra Poneman. Thank you for watching. We will see you tomorrow for VR Thursday.
Oh, right.
Who knows what's going to happen?
It's always fun.
We'll see you then.
Okay. Bye-bye. Love you.